I just heard from a mom who's suing a local dairy farm because she and her toddler got sick from their raw milk. She explains why she gave her son the milk and how she got sick even though she didn't drink it.
We're pinpointing heat to end the work week. A couple of thunderstorms out there as well, and I'll have the latest on Tropical Storm Erin coming up.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6 at 4 p.m.
New details tonight about a raw milk warning. The Department of Health says raw milk has made 21 people sick in Florida. Now, a Seminole County family is suing the dairy and the store that sold the milk. News 6's Laverne McGee is live in the newsroom. And Laverne, you just spoke with the woman who has filed this lawsuit.
That's right. She was very, very upset, Lisa, of course. Rachel Maddox and her 2-year-old son both ended up in the hospital. She was led to believe the milk was okay, even though the label on the milk says that it's for calves and not for people. Her 2-year-old son was the first one to become sick. Now, according to the lawsuit filed today in Seminole County, the boy spent 10 days in the hospital. He was suffering from multiple symptoms, including fever, diarrhea, and dehydration. Rachel also became ill with similar symptoms, developed sepsis, and lost her unborn child. She was hospitalized for 19 days. Now, both Maddox and her son tested positive for the strain of Campylobacter linked to contaminated Keeley Farms dairy raw milk.
So I became very ill, and the sickest I've ever been in my life. I came really close to dying, and our son did die. The doctors told me that I was lucky to be alive.
Absolutely heartbreaking. Now, on its label and on its website, the dairy farm clearly states that raw milk is not for human consumption. We reached out to the farm and the Longwood store that sold the milk for comment, but we have not yet heard back. Lisa?
Thank you. Maitland police and firefighters are investigating a crash between a Sunrail train and a vehicle. This happened just before 1 this afternoon at the intersection of Packwood Avenue and Maitland Avenue. Firefighters posted these pictures on Facebook. So far, they have not said what exactly led up to this crash. They did say no one was seriously hurt. There is a heat advisory for several counties in Central Florida until 7 o'clock tonight. We are also tracking a lot of storms along with that heat as Tropical Storm Erin strengthens. Meteorologist Jonathan Kakis joins us now with everything we need to know. We've got a lot going on this afternoon, Jonathan.
Most of it is benign that you mentioned in there. We are watching the heat, though. Temperatures into the mid to upper 90s across Central Florida. We've been talking about this since late last week that we likely see the heat beginning to climb above where we should be for this time of the year as we get towards the end of the work week, and here we are. 92 in Cocoa Beach right now. Melbourne, we're at 90. It feels like 102. We have a heat index of 106 in the Villages. 82 degrees right now in Wildwood, one of the cooler spots. We have a few thunderstorms out there right now. The biggest batch, pretty much right exactly where we had them yesterday. It was this time yesterday. I was watching that thunderstorm for you, sliding out of Flagler County and right on into Daytona Beach, and that's where we have the lightning, highly electrified storms tonight. About 179 of them right in this box that I'm showing you right now on your screen, and that will continue again through the evening. Latest on Erin, it's strengthening a little bit. It's not ready to go gangbusters just yet or anything like that in terms of intensity. It's still kind of being bullied a little bit by wind shear, but it is up to a 60-mile-per-hour storm as it tries to work its way back towards the west. I'll have the latest track as we wait for the 5 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center coming up at about 4:17, Lisa.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Now is a great time to make sure to download our free News 6 weather app. Our hurricane app is built right into that app. It will send personalized weather alerts and gives you access to our radar. All you have to do is search WKMG in your app store. We now have the video showing the moments before officers shot at a woman in a busy Publix parking lot. Investigators say she was inside a stolen car at the time and drove at the officers. This all happened on Sunday at the grocery store that's located on West Road near Ocoee, Apopka Road in Ocoee. News 6's Catherine Silver is taking a closer look at every moment and sharing new insight from the police chief.
This is the first time we've heard the chief speak publicly about the moment 2 of his officers were almost run over in that parking lot and the decision one of them made to open fire.
Security cameras captured the gunshots outside of a grocery store as Ocoee police encountered a suspect in a stolen SUV. You see both officers raising their weapons, pointing at Stacy Guerrero. The woman who police say was the driver inside this BMW.
Mrs. Guerrero had a criminal history spanning multiple counties and included charges such as battery on law enforcement, fleeing from police, and fraud.
Police Chief Vincent Ogburn says his officers didn't know who they were dealing with at first, but they approached Guerrero in this SUV because it was reported stolen from Orange County. The officers appear to be talking to her and checking out the license plate. Before you see the vehicle start to back up, that's when the chief says she hit an officer and a patrol car. She moves forward and strikes a second officer.
To see what is trapped, basically trapped between the car and the door. So yes, that is striking the vehicle. You can presume that your life is in danger.
The chief says the officers were not hurt and neither was anyone else in that parking lot going grocery shopping on a Sunday.
It's really crazy to just come in here, my usual shopping experience, and see all this going on.
We were the first to tell you Guerrero went inside the store before the shooting, and she wasn't alone. Andrea Barboza was arrested for petty theft. An arrest report says she walked out with a shopping cart full of items she didn't pay for. It also says Guerrero started filling up her own cart too, but went back to the SUV when she noticed an employee watching her.
The chief says this all happened so quickly. His officers weren't aware of that either. And when the shooting happened, the passenger was still inside the store. In Ocoee, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Catherine, thank you. 3 OUC workers were rushed to the hospital this morning following what's called an arc flash in downtown Orlando. It happened while the power company was doing routine maintenance at a substation on West Robinson Street near I-4. OUC has not said how exactly the workers got hurt, but we do know so far one of them has now been released from the hospital. Florida is planning to open another facility to hold immigrant detainees. Today, the governor called it Deportation Depot. It will be at a vacant prison in a remote northern part of the state. This will be the second immigrant detention facility since the makeshift center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz opened in the Everglades just over a month ago.
It is going to be located here at Baker Correctional Institute. And again, the reason of this is not to just house people indefinitely. We want to process, stage, and then return illegal aliens to their home country. That is the name of the game.
More than 1,300 detainees will be held at the facility. The governor expects it to be operational soon. Meantime, a hearing on the fate of the Alligator Alcatraz Immigration Detention Center ended without an immediate ruling. The hearing on the lawsuit from Friends of the Everglades happened yesterday. The group claims the facility did not go through the necessary environmental review mandated by federal law. That claim was disputed by the Florida Division of Emergency Management. Right now, there is a 2-week construction pause at the detention center while the legal fight plays out. A ruling in favor of the environmental groups and a local Indian tribe could indefinitely halt work at the site. There's also a second lawsuit from civil rights groups saying constitutional rights for detainees are being violated. They say they are barred from meeting lawyers, they are being held without any charges, and a federal immigration court has canceled bond hearings. A hearing in that case is scheduled for Monday. Crews are cleaning up a big mess from a crane that collapsed on a Merritt Island home. We told you about this as breaking news yesterday at 4. The water was knocked out for much of the neighborhood, but that is now back on. Now, this all happened on Mackerel Avenue. That's off Banana River Drive, right near Audubon Elementary School. News 6's Mark Lehman was there as the crane was hauled away and repairs began.
With the crane removed, we're getting a closer look at the damage. This is the backside of the home that the crane fell on top of. This shed has been demolished. The boom fell diagonally across the roof. Neighbors are also dealing with the effects of the water pipe that crushed under the weight of that crane. Today, we saw crews beginning work to restore water to dozens of homes in Merritt Island, a relief for neighbors who spent the night without the utility.
All night, no sleep. Yes, now we're waiting on the water company to come turn our water back on.
It is a hassle. Unfortunately, you got to adjust because it is what it is.
It was yesterday afternoon when a crane collapsed on a home off of Mackerel Avenue. A company was installing a telephone pole but says a survey missed an underground water line.
The problem is the boom was so long and extending it over, it put the pressure on the soil there and it crushed the water line and that washed it out and then the crane fell over.
The impact caused serious damage to Jim and Amanda Crane's home.
All the trusses are broke. The ceiling is down on the floor. The crane is in my house.
While the crane is now gone, questions remain about who's responsible for the damage, whether it's the crane operator or the company that was hired to locate the utilities.
We're all going to gather up and help Jim and Amanda and get their lives put back together best we can, and hopefully in a timely manner.
And as work is continuing out here today, the homeowner tells us he's thankful no one was injured in all of this. He also says he's staying with friends as he figures out the next steps in this process. In Merritt Island, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Well, it is no secret we have seen a lot of growth here in Central Florida in the last decade. Coming up, what leaders are doing to manage all the traffic.
It's good to get done and be dirty and tired at the end of the day, and you look back and say, I helped build that, you know.
From rocket towers to roller coasters, the skilled workers who build them are in short supply and high demand. We'll tell you how one local union is taking a big step toward closing that gap. That's next. You're watching News 6 at 4 as we take a live look at our camera in Daytona Beach. We'll be right back.
News 6 Insider is sponsored by Orange County Library System.
Most Americans agree that skilled trades are just as important as white-collar jobs, but many say they are still being overlooked. And the demand for skilled labor is outpacing supply across the country. News 6 anchor Matt Austin shows us how a local iron workers union is taking a big step in meeting that demand through a new Orlando training facility.
The 808.
The local 808's new 3 Wise Men apprentice and training facility is dedicated to 3 contractors who have worked with the union since the 1960s.
They gave me a $350,000 check out of their own bank account.
Wow.
So here, start.
Business manager Bobby Nost says that was back in 2023. Phil Coxwell has since passed, but Wade Ivey and Bill Sheffield were there, along with Coxwell's grandson, to see the groundbreaking and to sign what will be the final beam for the new building.
When we get it built, we will be able to process a whole lot more people.
It will train more than 200 apprentices and hundreds of journeymen and women every year.
How big of an issue is it to try to find a good iron worker these days?
It's a big issue. It's a big issue all over the country, too. It's not just Florida, you know.
In fact, according to Associated Builders and Contractors, there were almost 250,000 construction job openings in July.
How many more iron workers could you give work to?
Unlimited.
Unlimited?
Unlimited. So I grow it in stacks. So I get the people and get the work. Get the people, get the work, you know.
That work includes everything from building rocket towers at Cape Canaveral to roller coasters at Epic Universe.
They tell their buddies, and then their buddies show up.
Nost says his biggest recruiting challenge is awareness. A new Harris poll shows 9 in 10 people don't realize how well-paying these careers can be.
We have guys well over $100,000.
Really?
Average is 75, 80.
And no debt to speak
No.
of? Like by the time they graduate in 4 years from your
No
thing,
college
there's
loans, nothing.
no student loans?
No. No, and they're getting paid the whole time.
Getting paid to learn in an industry that isn't going anywhere anytime soon.
Let me ask you this. How many iron workers have been replaced by AI so far?
0.
I figured as much.
0, yes.
In Orlando, Matt Austin, News 6.
The business manager says the new training facility is expected to be completed in about a year. He said it will be safer, more comfortable, and use state-of-the-art equipment. He also hopes it will inspire a new generation to pick up the tools and keep Central Florida's biggest projects on track. All right, we want to check in now with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas. I'm getting some alerts from my News 6 weather app.
Yep.
A lot of activity happening right now.
No doubt about it, especially the same place that we saw yesterday. A couple of lightning strikes close to the station. This is going to be right on the northern Orange Seminole County line right now. The bigger lightning strikes right now, we're watching this kind of sink down to the south right along the I-95 corridor. And again, pretty much the same time yesterday. If you would like to get some of those bells and whistles that Lisa was talking about, download that free News 6 weather app. You can track the storms alongside me tonight, and you can get that lightning detection alert right in the palm of your hand as these continue to move down through Palm Coast. Again, a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning right now. That's continuing into Flagler Beach, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach. We are dry right now. Those storms are very, very close. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw one of those big, ominous-looking shelf clouds develop as it starts to get closer to the ocean. If you do snap that picture, when you can do so safely, upload it at clickorlando.com/pins. Don't go out looking for it. There's a lot of lightning around there. Daytona Beach shores, we're dry right now. That's likely going to change in a little bit. Taking it back out again, we have a few downpours trying to develop around Mims, that green line that you see working in towards the Florida Turnpike in Osceola County. That is the East Coast sea breeze, and you see a couple of extra thunderstorms firing back up in Brevard County. Those really aren't able to sustain themselves. And then through Winter Park, Altamont Springs, Winter Springs, I'm watching this cell for you. It's getting going around Maitland tonight, and that's going to try to drift back to the northeast a little bit. Most of the action going to be along into the east of I-4. There is a really cool shot. Let me get out of the way here. Light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam tonight. Okay, now the WASP is in the way. I'm trying to show you this cool rain shaft in the background. In the foreground, we have the city of Orlando, of course, and now we have the rain shaft, that thunderstorm that I just showed you there that's hanging around Altamont Springs, closer to Winter Springs now. So a really cool vantage point there of those thunderstorms getting going. Temperatures back to the mid-90s. Mostly cloudy sky right now at the Orlando International Airport. Those storms are very, very close by. 4, 5, 6 o'clock through the evening. Again, we're focusing on the I-4 corridor again, and then that little nub of I-95 in between Palm Coast and about New Smyrna Beach tonight. Some of those will have the chance to linger like what they did last night through about 9 or 10 o'clock, and then we'll quickly watch those go away once we get closer to the 11 o'clock hour. 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, I think we start things off dry. Then a few more thunderstorms pop up, and just like the last couple of days, they're not going to be too terribly widespread. However, the ones that get going could pack a little punch. You see the darker reds there. A few of them out there. We'll be watching that again as some of those could be on the stronger side. The heat, the other thing, temperatures now into the mid-90s. The heat is back even further tomorrow. For that, here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Renewal by Andersen.
We're back to the mid to upper 90s tomorrow, 40% shot for thunderstorms as we move into tomorrow. Again, the reason for that, our friend, this big chunk of high pressure, that's what brought us the heat a couple of weeks ago. It's back sitting on top of us, that sinking air. It warms up, it dries out, and that keeps us on the hotter side. This does have some play in steering what would be at this time hurricane Aaron. That's Monday, August 18th, and there's the hurricane. The good news is this starts retreating a little bit, and that opens up the escape path. Again, here is where Aaron is right now, east of the Caribbean. We're going to continue to watch that. The latest track from the Hurricane Center comes out at 5 o'clock. Sometimes it's pushed a little early. If it does, I'll share that with you the next time we talk in about 27 minutes at 4:47. 40% shot for storms tomorrow. That goes up a little bit, but look at that heat, Lisa. Back to the mid to upper 90s for your weekend.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. It seems like every day we are seeing more and more cars on the road and longer commutes.
Oh, it's horrible. First thing in the morning, usually in the afternoons.
We're taking a look at the plans to help with what can feel like endless traffic. That's next as we take a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope cam. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Light Orlando, delivering hope together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Joe.
I'm Stephanie Rodriguez, your Osceola County community correspondent. The Central Florida Expressway Authority had a meeting on Thursday, and on the agenda was Osceola County and just how much it's grown past population projections and what infrastructure is needed to help alleviate traffic. Those who call Osceola County home have noticed all of the people who've moved in over the last few years. How's it grown in the years you've been here?
It's been growing. I mean, it's a clean environment.
And all the traffic that came with them.
Oh, it's horrible. First thing in the morning, usually in the afternoons, is the worst.
The 2000 U.S. Census recorded a population of 172,531. For 2025, it was projected to hit 410,000, but it's actually over 468,000.
I work in the new construction, so all the new homes, it's definitely brings a lot of people in. And yeah, it's, I remember Narcoossee, Lake Nona area, I think like just about 6-7 years ago was just cow pastures.
Osceola County is expected to keep growing, potentially doubling in population by 2040. Those who find themselves in what can feel like endless traffic tell me they're glad to hear a conversation about the county's growth is happening, even if they won't see the payoff anytime soon.
I would say there's really nothing you could do but have 20-lane, roads.
It's just a time constraint issue with that, so it's going to be like that for a while.
The Expressway Authority will also get an update on the Southport Connector Project, a proposed 15-mile expressway connecting Poinciana Parkway with Florida's Turnpike. There will be public hearings for the Southport Connector Project starting next month. I'm your Osceola County community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6. The rise in prices is apparently keeping people away from fast food, leading to a slump in sales for chains. Why this could be a win for you, that's coming up.
I'm your Brevard County community correspondent, James Sparvero. The young man who caused a wreck during a Christmas boat parade is now in jail. I'm asking neighbors if they think the punishment is fair. We'll give you the details coming up.
Welcome back. We are following several major stories right now. A mom is suing the Central Florida dairy that the Florida Department of Health has linked to illnesses caused by raw milk. The lawsuit says her 2-year-old son was the first to get sick. back in June after she bought Keeley Farms milk from Wild Hair Natural Market in Longwood. It goes on to say that the mom later developed similar symptoms after caring for her son and miscarried while she was 20 weeks pregnant. We now have new video of a deadly police shooting at Nicoe Publix involving a stolen vehicle. This was the incident on Sunday afternoon involving both Stacy Guerrero and Andrea Barboza, who have extensive criminal histories. Records show Guerrero died at the hospital after being shot by police. 3 OUC workers were rushed to the hospital after a reported explosion at a downtown Orlando substation this morning. OUC is calling it an arc flash. 2 of those employees remain in the hospital tonight. The man who wrecked his boat at a Christmas parade in Brevard County, injuring 3 people, is now headed to jail. Cameron Michaels learned his sentence earlier this week. Brevard County community correspondent James Sparvero was there. As Michaels learned, he will spend the next 2 months behind bars.
So for the next 2 months, boater Cameron Michaels will be landlocked as he serves his sentence here at the Brevard County Jail. It's actually the first time since the crash he's been in jail at all. You might remember initially the FWC just gave him a ticket for speeding in a manatee zone. Court records show he didn't even have to pay it. The ticket was dismissed, but ultimately his charges were not.
Oh my God.
The case looked pretty cut and dry to the FWC officer who responded to Sykes Creek Drive.
Oh, that's reckless. Yeah, that's reckless all day.
Neighbors showed him the video that millions would later watch.
The videos is pretty much nail in the coffin.
So in December on Sykes Creek Drive, this neighbor, Don Wilson, he saw the crash. He told me he wanted to see some kind of consequences for Michaels.
I think that the fellow who perpetrated that incident should pay a price.
Now I'm back in the neighborhood here today with Dee, one of Don's neighbors. So Dee, do you think the punishment was fair? 60 days in jail and 1 year of probation.
It sounds pretty fair to me. He did cause a lot of disruption because I don't think anything like that has ever happened before. It's always been a fun time and a lot of neighbors get together with family.
And on that note, do you think this brings any kind of a stain to the event? Is this what everybody's going to be thinking of from now on? Or do you think the event can recover and move on without any trouble?
I think it will. It's just such a big deal for us. Look forward to it every year, and I think that it will recover.
Anything else maybe you'd like to say to this boater who did this?
Don't play around. Just wrong to do that when there's so many boats involved.
Michaels also has to pay restitution to the crash victims. And once he's out of jail and then on probation, he's still not allowed to drive a boat. In Brevard County, I'm your community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Investigators say a driver in an SUV hit and killed a 65-year-old pedestrian. This happened this morning around 5:30 on Southwest College Road near the Paddock Mall in Ocala. First responders found the 65-year-old dead in the road. The driver was taken to the hospital as a precaution, but was not hurt. Ocala police shared a photo of the scene on social media while investigating, closing the eastbound lanes. The road has since reopened by around noon today. Investigators have arrested the man accused of breaking into a 78-year-old woman's house. They shared body cam video of the moments they arrived at the scene.
Hey, get on the ground. Get on the ground.
This happened on Friday at a home in Lady Lake. The woman told police the 53-year-old man knocked on her door. When she opened it, he pushed his way inside, grabbed her purse, and tried to find her car keys. Investigators say she was able to fight back, push him outside, and call 911. Craig Johnson is now facing several charges. Horseback riding on the beach could be coming to Volusia County, and now we are learning where this could happen. Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed explains what you need to know if you plan to saddle up.
This is North Shore Park in Ormond by the Sea, and from this point to the Flagler County line is about 9 miles. This stretch is one of a couple that the County Council here in Volusia County is currently looking in the northern part of Volusia to potentially try out horseback riding.
If people didn't clean up after them, there would have to be fines.
The idea of sharing their beach with horses has some locals on the fence. A few spots in Florida already allow this, like just north in St. Johns County.
For me, being a person that comes to the beach every day and I bring my grandkids here, I don't think it's a good idea.
As it's being currently proposed, the county is considering two areas, the one in Ormond by the Sea and the other in Ormond Beach near the Neptune Beach approach. The riding would be restricted to non-driving areas of the beach with seasonal restrictions to accommodate turtles. There would also be limited capacity and a required 48-hour booking notice. Owners would be liable for health certificates for the animals and cleaning up after them, which seemed to be the main concern I found from beachgoers today.
I see the concept that it would be fun to ride horses at the beach. I love horses, but it could also be a real mess.
Now, at Tuesday's County Council meeting, it's not expected to be a final vote, but I'm told it will be a discussion item, and they will tell the county if they're going to move forward with this or not. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
This evening, Winter Garden could become the latest city in Central Florida to impose a new fire fee. It would hit homeowners with hundreds of dollars in extra costs. But now the city manager is recommending not moving forward with the fee because staff found nearly $4 million in budget cuts. News 6 Morning anchor Justin Warmoth spoke with homeowners about what has become a point of contention across the city.
When you first heard that they were looking into the fire assessment fee, what was the initial reaction to that?
It's more money for them to waste. Show me that you can prove that you can actually know how to manage your money before I'm ready to give you more money.
I think it benefits all of the homeowners that were so happy about having to pay the extra $300.
Commissioners still need to vote on the fee during tonight's meeting. That starts at 6:30. Meantime, city leaders in Sanford are under pressure because of a proposed fire fee that could cost homeowners nearly $100 a year. Earlier this week, the room was packed with residents passionate both for and against the fee, which would pay for fire department upgrades. If approved, the fee would generate about $2.4 million a year, costing the average homeowner about $95 a year. The commission voted to send notices to property owners. A final decision is expected early next month. Now, we have seen several local cities discuss fire fees lately, including Kissimmee, Ocoee, Mount Dora, and Brevard County. America's fast food giants are experiencing a slump in sales. Experts say people are cutting back on spending because the price of dining out has increased nearly 4% over the past year. CBS's Nancy Chen looks into how the decrease in sales could ultimately be a win for you.
Of all the times you've made it at home, has it ever tasted like our McMuffin?
It turns out even McDonald's signature McMuffin isn't enough to draw customers in for the most important meal of the day. In earnings calls last week, the fast food giant and its rival Wendy's reported slow breakfast sales, especially among low-income diners, who they say are their core customers.
We're really talking about a fast food market, generally speaking, that is basically tanking right now.
Jonathan Mays is editor-in-chief of Restaurant Business Magazine.
Why are customers shying away from fast food breakfast?
Well, the low-income consumer in particular are concerned about the state of the economy. They've been frustrated by prices, hurt by inflation, and breakfast is just an easy thing to cut out.
But it expands beyond that.
New Chipotle Honey Chicken.
Fast casual restaurants like Chipotle and Sweetgreen also saw sales slow in the second quarter, year over year.
It's if you're seeing Chipotle and Sweetgreen reporting significantly negative same-store sales, that suggests to me that there are more consumers that are really sort of rethinking how often they're eating out at restaurants.
Still, Mays says a sales slump could ultimately be a win for consumers.
Now, Wendy's has Buck Biscuits.
As chains are coming up with new promotions and menu items to lure in customers.
They have been introducing a record number of limited time offers. So yeah, I mean, they're really throwing pretty much everything at the wall to see what sticks.
To save money, Mays suggests checking restaurants' apps and signing up for their free loyalty programs. He says they're always offering deals. You just need to know where to look for them. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Well, heads up, Air Canada may begin canceling flights. The airline's announcement comes after the union representing flight attendants voted nearly unanimously to go on strike. The union also disrupted Air Canada's press conference this morning. The strike vote is in response to Air Canada's most recent contract offer this week. The carrier, in turn, triggered a 72-hour lockout notice. The flight attendants' walkout could begin as early as Saturday. That's the day Air Canada would fully shut down operations. Air Canada provides daily flights to Toronto from Orlando. So far, scheduled flights are still on time. Today started off with a rocket launch from the Space Coast.
3, 2, 1. Liftoff. Go Falcon, go Starlink.
At 8:29 this morning, SpaceX sent another 28 Starlink internet satellites into orbit. After the launch, the first stage booster landed on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. Well, did you catch the launch this morning? This viewer did. Check out this post on clickorlando.com/pins. The picture was taken from Christmas, and you can see the line from the rocket this morning. Open your camera app, scan the QR code you see on your screen right now and click that link because we want to see your launch pictures and videos, and they could end up here on TV. You can also go to clickorlando.com/pins like we just told you about and upload your pictures and videos that way. Well, we are wrapping up the first week of school, but not all of the much needed supplies are accessible to everyone.
We just want to make sure that they can go to class confident, whether they're supplied at home. If not, they know they can go to the school nurse and always get it.
The local organization focused on young girls and their health. That's next.
We were talking about it. We were likely going to get a shelf cloud in Daytona Beach. Gnarly looking cloud here. Still way too many people on the beach, by the way. There's lightning all over the place. This is exactly what you don't want to do. We're going to talk about where these storms in Volusia County are heading coming up at about 4:47.
And before we head to break, we have an all-new primetime schedule on News 6 Plus to tell you about. We have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9. Go in depth as we track the tropics and answer your weather questions at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour earlier. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus. And you can download our streaming app for free. Just search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
I'm Angie Casado, your Volusia County community correspondent, and an idea that started back in 2018 was to give girls what they need when they need it most. Well, since then, the Oopsie Project has grown into a county-recognized nonprofit, stuffing tens of thousands of bags every year, and it's hoping to reach even more girls this school year. It starts with donations from an Amazon wish list. Thousands of pads, wipes, and panty liners arriving at their door. In July, volunteers gather for what Nikki Richmond calls the stuffing party, packing 10,000 Oopsie bags with 2 of each item, each bag representing a girl in need.
Menstrual supplies are not a luxury. A lot of these students aren't provided them at home. They miss a lot of school or miss class if they start it and they don't have anything. So we just want to make sure that they can go to class confident, whether they're supplied at home. If not, they know they can go to the school nurse and always get it.
Then comes delivery, a U-Haul loaded up, 40 bags dropped off to every school nurse in Volusia, Flagler, and Seminole counties, just in time for back to school. And the feedback is heartfelt. At Spruce Creek Elementary, 5th grade girls lit up when they got their very own bag. One mom shared how her daughter started her period at school without supplies and still uses that bag today.
We are 100% community-based, so we rely on the community to supply the donations. We have an Amazon wish list. That product can go directly to us.
The organization is now focusing on getting more support to West Volusia and Seminole County, so every girl has the same access to help. And if you want to join the mission, whether it's donating, volunteering, or hosting a supply drive, we've posted the link at clickorlando.com. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent, Angie Casada, News 6.
A State of the Climate report from the American Meteorological Society shares concerning updates about the planet. In 2024, global temperatures reached new highs, making it the hottest year since records began nearly 200 years ago. The global average also hit a record 100 marine heat wave days, while marine cold spells dropped to a record low of 9. Greenhouse gas levels also hit records, and glaciers are melting worldwide.
Talk about a change of a decimal of a degree. That doesn't sound like a lot. But when you go back the last several decades and look at it all together, that adds up to multiple degrees. And if your body temperature goes up over decades, multiple degrees, it's not a sign of something healthy.
Last year, 27 separate disasters in the United States cost $1 billion or more in damage. All right, we do now want to get another check of our weather with meteorologist Jonathan Kagas, who's standing by, once again tracking some pretty strong afternoon storms out there.
Really nasty stuff. Good thing is no warnings out there, but look at all of the lightning. We'll start with Daytona Beach right now, where we were showing you some of the crazy clouds. We'll get back to that sky cam, but I wanted to give you an update on where those storms actually were first. And again, you can track these storms alongside me tonight by downloading the free News 6 Weather app. Great interactive radar tool. You can set your location and all the bells and whistles on there. Getting closer to Daytona Beach, you see all the lightning working just to the west of Port Orange. South Daytona back to Holly Hill, Ormond by the Sea, getting rocked right now with some very heavy rain, lots of thunder and lightning. This won't last too much longer, 15, 20 minutes, and then most of this stuff should be off the coast as it slowly drifts back off towards the south and east. A little bit of extra development closer to Lake Helen, Casadega tonight, Orange City. Good evening. Hope you're doing well. Just a couple of downpours. There is some of the lightning that we were tracking earlier for you guys around Altamont Springs coming out of Winter Park. That cell now expanding off to the south and west, closer to Oak Ridge and closer to the Orlando metro area. Here it is. Again, if you haven't seen the big shelf cloud that was working out over at Daytona Beach, you see the heavy rain in the background, the leading edge, that ominous cloud sliding through. Again, if you happen to snap a picture of it if you're in Daytona Beach, when you can do so safely, again, there's a lot of lightning. I don't want you going outside right now and capturing it because there's a ton of lightning striking in around this cloud. Every now and then you'll see it illuminate. We're back to 91 right now. The breeze out of the east. You can submit that picture, by the way, to clickorlando.com/pins, or in the free News 6 Weather app, there's a section to do that right in the palm of your hand as well. Straight downpour in the mix. Again, as we move forward, we're going to watch these scattered thunderstorms really work their way into the evening. Here we go by 9 o'clock. Still hanging around I-4. May have the opportunity for a few of these to linger, just like what we saw last evening. There's 8, 9 o'clock on your Friday. I think we have a nice dry start. And then we'll do it again. Rain chances not that terribly high. Again, just like where we've been over the last few days. But the ones that are out there, going to be kind of beefy. That's 8 o'clock. A few more scattered thunderstorms in the mix as we get deeper into the end of the work week and start of your weekend. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Ramjack.
Heat also cranked up a little bit. Temperatures back to the mid to upper 90s tomorrow. Rain chances at 40%. Latest on air, and the 5 o'clock advisory is in early. There it is. Again, it's still not too terribly healthy. It's still holding at 60 miles per hour. The pressure holding steady as well. So this is not strengthening like crazy at this point. It's still dealing with some wind shear as it works off to the west at 17 miles an hour, waiting for it to make that northwesterly turn as it is expected. Again, latest track here from the Hurricane Center. Again, hot off the press. It continues to show the bend away from Florida once it gets north of Puerto Rico. It's going to be a very powerful hurricane, but again, here we are. Here's the westernmost extent. Again, going to have some issues at the beaches with rip currents and things like that. But again, as we've been talking about, this one likely still appears to bend. I want to show you these ensembles as well. This is something I've been showing you to kind of, it helps to pull out any kind of shenanigans with the track because there's different initial conditions put into these things. And the eastern extent now even shifting further back to the east. Still too close for comfort for the Carolinas, but again, for Florida, still looking pretty good. It is trying to ride the southern end of that, so that's something to be watched again, mainly for the Carolinas. For us, again, things are still looking very nice in terms of that turn. 97 on Saturday, rain chances back up to 60% to close out your weekend, Lisa.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Now to something every driver should be aware of. Our traffic safety expert, Trooper Steve, explains no zones for semi-trucks. That's next.
Talk about a change of a decimal of a degree. That doesn't sound like a lot. But when you go back the last several decades and look at it all together, that adds up to multiple.
What is the no zone when it comes to traffic? Now, most of us have driven next to a big rig out on the highway, and let's be honest, it can feel a little intimidating at times, even for me. But did you know there are specific blind spots called no zones where the truck driver can't see you at all? Now, think of it this way. kind of like you see the driver's mirrors, they probably can't see you, right? So these no zones are along the sides, directly out in front, and especially right behind the truck. They're much larger than what you're used to in your regular car, much bigger blind spots. Cutting in front too soon can be dangerous because these trucks can weigh 20 times more than your vehicle and take much longer to stop. And hanging out too long in those side spots, well, that's a recipe for trouble if the truck decides to change lanes because, hey, maybe no one's there. The bottom line, give them space, stay visible, and remember, sharing the road safely isn't just about rules, it's about respect. If you got a traffic safety question, you want me to answer it, head on over to clickorlando.com/AskTrooperSteve.
News 6 at 5 is up next. Anchor Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead. Matt.
Just a month after the opening of Alligator Alcatraz, a second facility is soon to open. What the governor is saying about it. Plus.
Coming up, the city of Orlando says the extended stay behind me here on iDrive is unsuitable for people to live, leaving about 100 people uncertain of what their futures look like.
No further action. Why prosecutors are not moving forward with charges against a sheriff's deputy involved in a violent arrest in Jacksonville. And your forecast is only minutes away. Don't forget, you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras like this crazy one off the coast anytime on News 6 Plus. Dozens of people staying at an Orlando hotel could soon be without a home. The discoveries that are forcing police to step in.
We want to process, stage, and then return illegal aliens to their home country.
And 1 month after the opening of Alligator Alcatraz, a second deportation facility is set to open. The plans for what the governor calls Deportation Depot. Plus, the state is teaming up with federal regulators to ban a illegal substance being sold in thousands of Florida stores. You're watching News 6 at 5.
Right now, dozens of people who had been staying at an extended stay off I-Drive now face the frightening prospect of homelessness.
Yeah, they're being pushed out for what the city of Orlando cites as safety reasons. Our Orlando community correspondent Mike Valenti was there all day.
An immediate life safety issue. That is what a City of Orlando spokesperson says triggered a notice to vacate here at the Howard Johnson by Wyndham, leaving tenants uncertain of what their lives will look like come Monday.
How are you feeling right now?
Exhausted.
Everybody just found out we had to leave. We're like, what the
The tension in this parking lot was as high as the temperature Thursday. Maria Reyes had reached her boiling point, worried about how a sudden rush to leave will impact her wife, who she says has cancer.
I have to deal with her being sick.
I know.
It's because they don't give a here.
Right behind Maria, we could see a sign taped on a window, a notice from Orlando's code enforcement office. The listed violation reads, life safety system inoperable.
There are some bad conditions, especially in the back. Black mold everywhere, roaches, rats, palomino bugs.
The roofs are caving in, the ACs are broken.
Last Thursday, Orlando code enforcement officers learned that water service from OUC was turned off due to non-payment by the owners. But a city spokesperson says that while on scene last Friday, the fire department determined that the fire alarms in the building were not functioning properly, creating an immediate life safety issue that required a safety official to remain on site, monitoring for fire hazards.
It's kind of scary knowing that you won't have a place to shelter for the night.
Trinette Nation is with the Coalition for the Homeless.
We do not want any unsheltered individuals or families after this incident.
State records show Roar Orlando owns the hotel. We were unable to find a phone number for the company, but several tenants identified this man as the property manager. When we were there Thursday, we saw him talking to police, city representatives, and to tenants. But he was not as engaging with us.
Ramel, are you able to tell us anything about what's happening? Why it was condemned? No. Are you the property manager?
No.
Is your name not?
But they're telling me to tell you to get the news off the property, the owner.
Who's
the
there?
Police, yeah.
Okay.
But I
So you don't work here?
No.
They're saying you're the property manager, no?
No.
Okay.
Despite that insistence, it was not long before he approached us off camera, accompanied by an Orlando police sergeant. The sergeant said the man, on behalf of the owner, was asking us to leave the property. So we did, with just a few more unanswered questions. I'm your Orlando community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
Well, the heat is back tonight. An advisory is in effect until 7 tonight.
Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now to talk about it. Jonathan?
Some of us are getting some relief in the terms in the factor of some cooling thunderstorms tonight. Right around downtown Orlando, we have one. This is the East Coast sea breeze, that green line pushing through. That's going to try to help to fire up more thunderstorms, get these guys going around Four Corners into Point Siena, Celebration, Kissimmee, and St. Cloud. Couple of downpours and thunderstorms trying to fire right along I-95 in between Rockledge and Titusville. All the big stuff, though, hanging up right around Daytona Beach. We've been showing you the live cameras all evening long with the shelf cloud, the dark cloud sliding through. These continue to kind of rupture right down I-4 and have more development around Deltona, more lightning strikes there, and still watching a couple of downpours in and around Altamont Springs going forward. 5 o'clock advisory, hot off the press from Tropical Storm Erin from the Hurricane Center. I'll show you that coming up at about 5:17.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Well, in July, News 6 went to South Florida to see firsthand the state's new immigration facility dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. At the time, state leaders told our Laverne McGee this was just the beginning. And today, despite criticism, the state announced another location. Laverne McGee joins us live now. And Laverne, the state's newest project isn't expected to face the same legal issues as Alligator Alcatraz.
That's right, Matt. They feel confident the law is on their side. Now, just weeks after I toured Alligator Alcatraz in South Florida, the immigration facility was hit with a federal lawsuit. A judge is now deciding if it can remain open. And today, Governor Ron DeSantis announced they're creating a second immigration detention center, but this time it will be on state land that used to be a prison north of the Ocala National Forest. The state is calling the new facility Deportation Depot.
The reason of this is not to just house people indefinitely. We want to process, stage, and then return illegal aliens to their home country.
Nicknamed Deportation Depot, the new immigration facility is at the vacant Baker Correctional Institution in Sanderson, just west of Jacksonville. It'll be able to hold about 1,300 detainees with the same purpose and function as the state's other immigration detention center.
We have what we want at Alligator Alcatraz. We probably could do some more, but we were looking at a demand signal that is strong, and we did need this.
President Trump?
Yes.
President Trump, Laverne McGee, News 6, Orlando. President Donald Trump attended the opening of Alligator Alcatraz on July 1st. I was one of the few journalists allowed inside for the opening. While Alligator Alcatraz is tied up in lawsuits over its location and the conditions inside, Deportation Depot is moving ahead, with the governor on Thursday dismissing the litigation while praising the state's work to expand immigration enforcement.
It's obvious that this judge is hostile. This is a political thing. We get that, but we also know that we're right on the law.
It could take 2 to 3 weeks to get the facility operational, and they have not given an opening date. Governor DeSantis also says costs for this second state-run immigration detention facility will be reimbursed by federal partners. Lisa?
Laverne, thank you. Tonight, a break in a cold case. Police say they finally know whose body was found on the side of the Turnpike in Orange County 9 years ago. Our own Catherine Silver tells us what piece of evidence made the difference for detectives.
When police found the remains almost a decade ago, they also found what ended up being the key to the case. A set of keys like this with 2 loyalty reward cards, one of them to Winn-Dixie.
Good morning.
A retired detective here at the Ocoee Police Department started re-examining that evidence 3 years ago. She sent a subpoena to Winn-Dixie to see if they could find a match, and they did. It turns out that loyalty card belonged to Lloyd P. Williams, a man who went missing in Orange County back in 2013. It was enough of a lead that they tracked down his son, who lives in Jamaica, and confirmed their suspicions with a DNA match.
He was extremely grateful. He had been wondering what happened to his father since 2013, and for him to finally get some closure. He's in his 70s, and he's just, like I said, he's extremely grateful. I can't imagine not knowing where my person is, and just to be able to hear the relief in their voice or the excitement in their voice when you call them and say, hey, we think we have a lead. It's heartwarming.
The detective says Williams' death was considered suspicious because his remains were discovered by the side of the turnpike back when the 429 was being built. Ocoee police have turned over all of their findings to Orange County. In Ocoee, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
New tonight, prosecutors say they will not pursue any charges against a Florida sheriff's deputy in the arrest of a college student in Jacksonville. The video of that arrest back in February, it went viral. The video shows William McNeil being punched in the face, dragged from his car. Today, prosecutors say the actions of Officer D. Bowers of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office were not criminal. Attorneys calling the cell phone footage incomplete in scope and said Bowers made a lawful traffic stop when he pulled over William McNeil. They also said a further review of officer body cam footage and interviews back up the claim that Bowers gave McNeil lawful commands.
Right now, Maitland police and firefighters are investigating a crash between a Sunrail train and a car. This happened just before 1 this afternoon at the intersection of Packwood Avenue and Maitland Avenue. Firefighters posted these pictures on Facebook. So far, they have not said what led up to this crash. They did say no one was seriously hurt. There also may be some delays, but they are not expected to cause major issues.
Well, it's no secret Osceola County has grown quite a bit in the last decade. It comes with more cars on the road, more traffic, and longer commutes.
As a result, the Central Florida Expressway Authority is now set to discuss how to manage all this growth. Osceola County community correspondent Stephanie Rodriguez explains.
During the Expressway Authority's meeting happening today, Osceola County is on the agenda. They're going to be talking about how it's grown past its population projections and what infrastructure is needed to help alleviate traffic.
Those who call Osceola County home have noticed all of the people who've moved in over the last few years.
How has it grown in the years you've been here?
It's been growing. I mean, it's a clean environment.
And all the traffic that came with them.
Oh, it's horrible.
First thing in the morning, usually in the afternoons, is the worst.
The 2000 U.S. Census recorded a population of 172,531. For 2025, it was projected to hit 410,000, but it's actually over 468,000.
I work in the new construction, so all the new homes, it's definitely brings a lot of people in. And yeah, it's, I remember Narcoossee, Lake Nona area, I think like just about 6-7 years ago, it was just cow pastures.
Osceola County is expected to keep growing, potentially doubling in population by 2040. Those who find themselves in what can feel like endless traffic tell me they're glad to hear a conversation about the county's growth is happening, even if they won't see the payoff anytime soon.
I would say there's really nothing you could do but have 20-lane, roads.
It's just a time constraint issue with that, so it's going to be like that for a while.
The Expressway Authority will also get an update on the Southport Connector Project, a proposed 15-mile expressway connecting Poinciana Parkway with Florida's Turnpike.
There will be public hearings for the Southport Connector project starting next month. I'm your Osceola County community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Well, as Florida DOGE examines the books in Central Florida, one county is asking for more money.
And it could impact how much your property is worth. Next at 5, the move for funding in Lake County that has commissioners calling it unprecedented.
Today's Port Canaveral Cam is sponsored by Launch Credit Union.
This week, Florida DOGE has been digging into the books. They say the Orlando government is just spending way too much.
There are also concerns about high spending in Lake County. The property appraiser says he wants more than $1 million tacked on to his budget. But one Lake County commissioner told our community correspondent Emily McLeod that request is unprecedented.
Just like all of Central Florida, Lake County is growing and fast. That growth is just one reason why the county's property appraiser, Mark Jordan, says his request for a bigger budget is justified. However, Lake County Commissioner Anthony Sabatini is not holding back when it comes to his criticism of the request. Lake County property appraiser Mark Jordan is requesting another $1.2 million on top of a current budget just shy of $5 million. But why?
It's significant growth that's the issue here, and that budget simply can't keep up with that.
Jordan says his current budget is lower than other Florida counties about the same size as Lake. The increased budget would be used in part to fund more jobs within the department.
This would be our first IT person, which is, we're beyond the adolescent stages, so we certainly need staff like that. There's additional field appraisers, an additional commercial appraiser. We only have one commercial appraiser with nearly 15,000 commercial parcels.
But Lake County Commissioner Anthony Sabatini blasts the request as unprecedented.
We've never seen any constitutional officer ever ask for this much money, and to do this at a time in which the entire theme of the Republican Party of Florida and our leadership in Tallahassee is to reduce spending is almost comical.
Do you think there is any room to expand the property appraiser's office at some point? I mean, Lake County has experienced a ton of growth. I mean, even just in the last 5 years.
Absolutely. I think something like a 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 6% budget increase makes sense, really, if you look at inflation. So, 6, 7, 8%. If you would have came in somewhere around like maybe 8%, I would have probably scrutinized it but possibly considered supporting it. Coming in at 28% is clearly just shenanigans.
Jordan expects the State Department of Revenue to decide just how much his office deserves in a couple of days. After that, the county or Jordan could appeal. Reporting in the newsroom, I'm your Lake County community correspondent, Emily McLeod, News 6.
Right now, we need to get a look at that radar, see what kind of action is on there. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas, I saw you looking at a big old shelf cloud off the coast a little while ago.
It was wild. We saw that. We typically see these as they're exiting the East Coast with that warm, moist air hanging out right over the ocean. So we saw that leaving Palm Coast, Beverly Beach, into Flagler Beach as well, Ormond Beach, Daytona Beach. The worst of the stuff has now left the Flagler coastline. Be mindful, though, if you're hanging out on the beach in Flagler County through Palm Coast, even Marineland, we still have lightning strikes coming back to the coastline. So always be mindful of that. Further down I-95 into the I-4 junction there, we have thunderstorms pushing into New Smyrna Beach. Again, these are working from northwest to southeast tonight. Oak Hill, Edgewater, that's an early heads up. If you look back to your north and west, those skies are certainly getting on the darker side. Further down, not as intense. We do have some lightning, though, in and around the Orlando metro area. We were talking about things building around the Four Corners area, closer to Celebration as well. And there go those thunderstorms. Likely going to see more fire up right along the East Coast sea breeze. That's the green line that's pretty much crossing the turnpike right now. It just left us in Holopod Deer Park. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see just a couple of downpours popping up right there. Also for us in southern Lake County, as we go around Central Florida tonight to just south of Mineola, Mascot, we have a few downpours. These are trying to lift from south to north. So watching across all of Central Florida tonight. If you want, download that free News 6 weather app. Again, you can track these storms alongside me tonight. There's 5 to 6 o'clock on the rest of your Thursday evening, and we're going to keep things pretty much right along I-4, and then the little nub for us in Palm Coast down to Daytona Beach again, right along I-95 this evening as we continue to watch those storms again get going and then fizzle out by around 9 to 10 o'clock. Tomorrow, we'll get things started around 1 to 2 again, and then fire things off. We'll have the sea breeze come inland, and that'll help to keep storms focused, again, pretty much right along I-95, north of Deltona, north of Daytona Beach, into Flagler County, and then also right down I-95 again. Some of those could linger into the start of your weekend, into Friday evening. Here's a live look right now, Port Canaveral, Brevard County, with our Launch Credit Union camera. Temperatures right now back to the lower 90s. The breeze at about 11 miles an hour. Temperatures outside a little toasty today. We're talking about this as well. To crank up the thermostat a little bit. Working at 95 in Kissimmee. Claremont, a touch cooler. We have that thunderstorm nearby, some of that rain-cooled air getting into the vicinity for us in Leesburg and in Claremont. Wildwood, we're checking in at 90 degrees. It has certainly cooled off a little bit in Palm Coast. We're back to 88, 90 degrees in Melbourne. Cocoa Beach, we are at 92 degrees. Now here's a look at tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Payne Law.
Temperatures get back into the middle 90s in Palm Coast, 93 degrees in Daytona. We're at 92 in New Smyrna Beach. Kissimmee, we're back to 95 as well. Our breeze out of the south and west tomorrow, and that's going to help to pump in the extra warmth as we get back to the mid to upper 90s. Likely going to see another heat advisory again for most of Central Florida as the heat index gets back into that 105 to 110 category. Over the next 7 days, temperatures getting back into the upper 90s. Rain chances over the weekend at about 60%.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, thousands of stores across Florida will now have to get rid of a certain product.
It is a substance called 7-O. Up next, why Florida's Attorney General issued an emergency order to ban the product.
Your Thursday evening traffic alert. I've only got one for you, and it's the big one here along I-4 between about Kirkman down here towards State Road 528. So you need to be careful as there will be lane closures and possible shutdowns over in the express lanes. I'm Trooper Steve with the News 6 Traffic Alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
Here's a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. Amazing how different it can look from the middle of the state to the coast. You're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Florida's Attorney General is now targeting an opioid that's been available to buy.
This week, James Uthmeyer is issuing an emergency action to remove certain 7-OH products off store shelves. It's commonly found in a substance called kratom.
News 6's Justin Warmoth has more on the impact this ban could have.
Making kava can be a little bit of a workout.
Could be a grueling process, a lot on the forearms.
Caleb Grill, the owner of the Zendin in Largo, has been in the industry for about 6 years. A couple of years ago, he opened his own shop.
It revolves around dealing with plants that I love, great people, good conversation.
Like many kava bars, the Zen also sells kratom. It's served in a tea made from kratom tree leaves.
The plant itself, when done in moderation and when people are being educated, it has immense power to help people with pain, people who are struggling with pharmaceutical addictions.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is now looking to control the concentrated byproduct of kratom, 7-OH. The FDA says that product is often sold in vape shops. It is not sold at the Zen.
So in this whole kilo of kratom, which is a minimum of 100 servings, there's only 20 milligrams of 7-hydroxy. In some of the tablets that you'll be finding on the shelves, there's 20 milligrams in one small tablet.
This week, Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier used emergency action to prohibit the sale of 7-OH and reclassify it as a Schedule I drug. The FDA commissioner is applauding the efforts to raise awareness about the opioid.
We also need to educate the public about 7-OH. We don't want to be caught flat-footed like we did with fentanyl and prescription drugs. This may be the fourth wave of the opioid epidemic.
Last month, the FDA recommended that 7-OH be rescheduled. Florida's Attorney General says the state is the first to take action since that change. Justin Wormuth, News 6.
All right, much more coming up at 5:30, including horses on the beach.
We head to Volusia County, where you can soon take part in a unique experience along the coast.
Plus, a high-stakes meeting between Russia and the United States. What we can expect ahead of the summit in Alaska.
As we take a live look at our Launch Credit Union Port Cam at Port Canaveral, you're watching News 6. Keep it here. We'll be right back. Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We're following several top stories for you right now.
Yeah, dozens of people staying at the Howard Johnson Hotel off I Drive face homelessness after the water was shut off for non-payment by the owners. The city says the fire department found the building's fire alarms were also not working properly. Water service has been restored and a fire watch will remain until Monday when tenants must leave for safety.
Today, the state talked about another immigration facility location dubbed Deportation Depot. It'll be at the vacant Baker Correctional Institute in Sanderson. That's just west of Jacksonville. It'll be able to hold about 1,300 detainees with the same purpose and function as the state's other immigration detention center, Alligator Alcatraz. Ocoee police say they finally know whose body was found on the side of the turnpike in Orange County after 9 years. A loyalty card for Winn-Dixie was linked to a man named Lloyd P. Williams, who went missing in 2013. Police tracked down his son, who lives in Jamaica, and confirmed their suspicions with a DNA match.
The man who wrecked his boat at a Christmas parade in Brevard County, injuring 3 people, is now headed to jail. Cameron Michaels learned his sentence earlier this week. Brevard County community correspondent James Sparvero was there as Michaels learned he will spend the next 2 months behind bars.
So for the next 2 months, boater Cameron Michaels will be landlocked as he serves his sentence here at the Brevard County Jail.
Oh my God.
It's actually the first time since the crash he's been in jail at all. You might remember initially the FWC just gave him a ticket for speeding in a manatee zone. Court records show he didn't even have to pay it. The ticket was dismissed, but ultimately his charges were not.
Oh my God.
The case looked pretty cut and dry to the FWC officer who responded to Sykes Creek Drive.
Oh, that's reckless. Yeah, it's reckless all day.
Neighbors showed him the video that millions would later watch.
The videos is pretty much nail in the coffin.
So in December on Sykes Creek Drive, this neighbor, Don Wilson, he saw the crash. He told me he wanted to see some kind of consequences for Michaels.
I think that the fellow who perpetrated that incident should pay a price.
Now I'm back in the neighborhood here today with Dee, one of Don's neighbors. So Dee, do you think the punishment was fair? 60 days in jail and 1 year of probation.
It sounds pretty fair to me. He did cause a lot of disruption because I don't think anything like that has ever happened before. It's always been a fun time and a lot of neighbors get together with family.
And on that note, do you think this brings any kind of a stain to the event? Is this what everybody's going to be thinking of from now on? Or do you think the event can recover and move on without any trouble?
I think it will. It's just such a big deal for us. Look forward to it every year, and I think that it will recover.
Anything else maybe you'd like to say to this boater who did this?
Don't play around. Just wrong to do that when there's so many boats involved.
Michaels also has to pay restitution to the crash victims. And once he's out of jail and then on probation, he's still not allowed to drive a boat. In Brevard County, I'm your community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
Right now, crews are still cleaning up a big mess in Merritt Island after a crane collapsed right on top of a home. Water was knocked out for much of the neighborhood. This happened yesterday on Mackerel Avenue near Audubon Elementary. News 6's Mark Lehman was there as that crane was hauled away and repairs began.
With the crane removed, we're getting a closer look at the damage. This is the backside of the home that the crane fell on top of. The shed has been demolished. The boom fell diagonally across the roof. Neighbors are also dealing with the effects of the water pipe that crushed under the weight of that crane.
Today we saw crews beginning work to restore water to dozens of homes in Merritt Island, a relief for neighbors who spent the night without the utility.
All night, no sleep. Yes, now we're waiting on the water company to come turn our water back on.
It is a hassle. Unfortunately, you got to adjust because it is what it is.
It was yesterday afternoon when a crane collapsed on a home off of Mackerel Avenue. A company was installing a telephone pole but says a survey missed an underground water line.
The problem is the boom was so long and extending it over, it put the pressure on the soil there and it crushed the water line and that washed it out and then the crane fell over.
The impact caused serious damage to Jim and Amanda Crane's home.
All the trusses are broke. The ceiling is down on the floor.
The crane is in my house.
While the crane is now gone, questions remain about who's responsible for the damage, whether it's the crane operator or the company that was hired to locate the utilities.
We're all going to gather up and help Jim and Amanda and get their lives put back together best we can, and hopefully in the timely manner.
And as work is continuing out here today, the homeowner tells us he's thankful no one was injured in all of this. He also says he's staying with friends as he figures out the next steps in this process. In Merritt Island, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Now to an update to a story we brought you earlier this afternoon. Officials with Orlando Utilities Commission say 3 OUC employees were hurt after an arc flash at the downtown substation. All 3 were transported to a local hospital. They are expected to be okay. Now, an arc flash is when light and heat discharges from a connection through air to ground.
Well, a simple act of kindness is making a big difference for thousands of girls in Central Florida.
News 6's Volusia County community correspondent Angie Casado shows us how the Oopsie Project is turning community support into confidence, one bag at a time.
This all started in 2018 with a simple idea: give girls what they need when they need it most. Since then, the Oopsie Project has grown into a county-recognized nonprofit, stuffing tens of thousands of bags every year, and it's hoping to reach even more girls this school year. It starts with donations from an Amazon wish list. Thousands of pads, wipes, and panty liners arriving at their door. In July, volunteers gather for what Nikki Richmond calls the stuffing party, packing 10,000 Oopsie bags with 2 of each item, each bag representing a girl in need.
Menstrual supplies are not a luxury. A lot of these students aren't provided them at home. They miss a lot of school or miss class if they start it and they don't have anything. So we just want to make sure that they can go to class confident, whether they're supplied at home. If not, they know they can go to the school nurse and always get it.
Then comes delivery, a U-Haul loaded up, 40 bags dropped off to every school nurse in Volusia, Flagler, and Seminole counties, just in time for back to school. And the feedback is heartfelt. At Spruce Creek Elementary, 5th grade girls lit up when they got their very own bag. One mom shared how her daughter started her period at school without supplies and still uses that bag today.
We are 100% community based, so we rely on the community to supply the donations. We have an Amazon wish list. That product can go directly to us.
The organization is now focusing on getting more support to West Volusia and Seminole County, so every girl has the same access to help. And if you want to join the mission, whether it's donating, volunteering, or hosting a supply drive, we've posted the link at clickorlando.com. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent, Angie Casada, News 6.
President Trump in Alaska, where he's getting ready for a high-stakes meeting tomorrow with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The #1 topic will be the war in Ukraine. CBS News' Willie James Inman is in Anchorage with a preview.
President Trump says Russian President Vladimir Putin does not want to mess with him ahead of their face-to-face meeting Friday to discuss ending the war in Ukraine.
I think that President Putin would like to see a deal. I think if I weren't president, he would take over all of Ukraine.
The president once again stressed that the more important meeting will be one that includes Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
I think President Putin will make peace. I think President Zelensky will make peace. We'll see if they can get along.
When asked if he will offer Putin access to rare minerals in exchange for ending the conflict, President Trump said, "We're going to see what happens."
The two leaders will meet for the first time since 2019 at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson outside of Anchorage. But going again, many see the summit as a win for Putin.
For Putin, it's his opportunity to try to strengthen that bond with President Trump.
Andrea Kendall Taylor is a former U.S. intelligence official who specialized in Russia.
I think to me this summit is first and foremost Putin's ploy to buy more time as he continues a major offensive in Ukraine's east and continues to pummel Ukrainian cities.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with the British Prime Minister Thursday to discuss tomorrow's meeting. Ukraine is not part of the summit, but European leaders have urged President Trump to push for a full ceasefire before discussing exchanging any territory. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Anchorage, Alaska.
Well, it is one of summer's most burning questions. Just how dangerous is it to exercise outdoors during a heat wave? CBS News' Karen Way has more on how to get your workout in safely in the heat.
Millions of Americans are living in places experiencing very hot temperatures this week. A challenge for many like Andrew Horowitz in New York City, still trying to get his run in.
It gets much harder and I get much slower.
Celebrity trainer Kira Stokes says that's okay. On really hot days, modify your workout. Keep it low intensity, monitor heart rate, and limit the duration.
I always say it's not the time to go out and try to run a marathon. And we talk about consistency in fitness so often that it is so key to achieving your goals, but you need to have flexibility within your consistencies.
Nearly 120,000 people visited the emergency room for heat-related illnesses in 2023, according to the latest CDC data. People who exercise on hot days are more likely to suffer from dehydration and heat-related illnesses, according to the CDC. So here are the warning signs. Like being in a state of confusion, fever, and being unable to drink. CBS chief medical correspondent Dr. John LaPook says, pay attention to indicators of dehydration.
When you wake up in the morning, you are dehydrated. You know, you haven't had any water overnight. So the first thing you should do is have a glass or two of water. What happens when you get dehydrated is that your urine becomes more and more concentrated because your kidneys are holding on to the water and it gets more and more yellow.
Horowitz says anyone exercising in these elements should plan ahead.
I bring water and maybe an electrolyte drink or something like that.
Experts also recommend exercising during the cooler parts of the day and monitoring the temperature and humidity. Karen Hua, CBS News, New York.
Well, an interesting experience is coming to Volusia County.
All you need is a horse. Up next, the proposal that could soon allow horseback riding along the coast.
Plus, a viral song that will get stuck in your head did not commit plagiarism. The judge that ruled in favor of that song, Baby Shark.
Don't start.
Do.
You did. Horseback riding on the beach could be coming to Volusia County. The Volusia County Council could move forward with a proposal at their meeting next week for horseback riding to give people a unique experience along the coast.
How about that? Some new details coming in now on where exactly this would happen and how it would look.
This is North Shore Park in Ormond by the Sea, and from this point to the Flagler County line is about 9 miles. This stretch is one of a couple that the County Council here in Volusia County is currently looking in the northern part of Volusia to potentially try out horseback riding.
If people didn't clean up after them, there would have to be fines.
The idea of sharing their beach with horses has some locals on the fence. A few spots in Florida already allow this, like just north in St. Johns County.
For me, being a person that comes to the beach every day and I bring my grandkids here, I don't think it's a good idea.
As it's being currently proposed, the county is considering 2 areas, the one in Ormond by the Sea and the other in Ormond Beach near the Neptune Beach approach. The riding would be restricted to non-driving areas of the beach with seasonal restrictions to accommodate turtles. There would also be limited capacity and a required 48-hour booking notice. Owners would be liable for health certificates for the animals and cleaning up after them, which seemed to be the main concern I found from beachgoers today.
I see the concept that it would be fun to ride horses at the beach. I love horses, but it could also be a real mess.
Now, at Tuesday's County Council meeting, it's not expected to be a final vote, but I'm told it will be a discussion item, and they will tell the county if they're going to move forward with this or not. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Well, right now might not be a great time to be riding a horse along the coast, but it's a novel idea.
That's
for
what
sure.
we call a good transition,
Yeah,
Lisa
I'd say
Bell.
so.
You could get hit by some lightning if
Yes.
you're in the wrong spot. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas has a look.
And we've been watching that cell pretty much right around the Flagler-Volusia County line. It's moved all the way offshore in Flagler County. We're focused now as this drifts away from the I-4 corridor right down I-95. So Daytona Beach, things are looking a little bit better. And if you want to get that lightning detection, it is free. Download the free News 6 weather app. Great interactive radar tracking tool, and of course your forecast from us will also be in there. You can also track the tropics within the News 6 weather app as well. Kind of sliding down right in between I-4 and I-95 tonight. So New Smyrna Beach, you may be hearing some thunder. That cell is likely going to continue to drift off to your south. We also have more lightning in eastern Seminole, eastern Orange County, especially in between Bithlo and Winter Park tonight. That cell is continuing to materialize and pushing off to the south, so we'll be watching that eventually for the airport. It is close by. We have a couple of downpours right over the airport right now, but it's the lightning we're concerned with shutting down some of the taxiways there with the ground crew. And then around the attractions closer to Four Corners, we also have some thunderstorms in the mix. You can see some of those bubbling up tonight in the distance. It's a live look in downtown Orlando with our Light Orlando delivering Hope Skycam. Air temperatures back into the lower 80s, and the airport is reporting that thunderstorm out of the west-northwest, the wind at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. So a little gusty. It's picking up on some of that thunderstorm outflow as it's hanging close to the airport. Through 6, 7 o'clock tonight, we're watching those thunderstorms. Doing a pretty nice job tonight. Future radar is right down the I-4 corridor, trying to push back to the west a little bit. So heads up in Apopka, Zellwood, Tangerine, and Eustis, Mount Dora. We may have some of that pushback from the storms that are out there right now. 6, 7 o'clock on your Friday morning, things are nice and quiet. We'll see more storms fire back up. Only at a 40% clip tomorrow. I don't think that they're as widespread as where they've been either. Again, we're going to keep things relatively not widespread, but nonetheless, the ones that are out there could pack a little bit of a punch. There we go, 7 to 8 o'clock on your Friday evening. Still hanging on to a few thunderstorms. Again, few and far between. The closer to the East Coast you are by tomorrow evening anyway, the better opportunity you have to start your weekend on the drier side. 89 in Claremont, Kissimmee, good evening. We are at 95. Sanford, we're also at a toasty 95 degrees still at this hour. We're back to 87 degrees in DeLand. Now here's a look at tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Publix.
40% shot for storms, a little toasty tomorrow, back to the mid to upper 90s, and it's all because of this big chunk of high pressure. We remember this guy from a couple weeks ago when we had the extreme heat index back to 110, 115. It's not going to be as hot as that, but it is going to be hotter than what we should be for this time of the year. That upper area of high pressure that's going to drift back off towards the north and west. And it actually is a big player in steering what will be at this time Hurricane Erin. It slides back to the west, and that's partially responsible for opening up that escape route in between the United States and Bermuda. So watching that continuously to make sure that it does back off as expected over the next couple of days and let what is now Tropical Storm Erin get up and on out of here. It's still moving west tonight. Latest track from the Hurricane Center again. Not much change with this one. Still expecting it to gradually start to move to the north and then make that real big hook as it gets to the north of Puerto Rico. Major hurricane, but that major hurricane going to stay offshore in all likelihood. Back to the mid to upper 90s over the weekend. Rain chances back to 60% on Sunday.
Jonathan, thank you. Back to school brings with it a mix of emotions.
And it doesn't just impact students, but parents as well, of course. Up next, the impacts empty nest syndrome can take on a family and what health experts say you can do.
Back to school can not only be stressful for students, but also parents. And if your child is leaving home for college or to start a job, there can be a lot of feelings of sadness, loss, even depression.
So tonight, health reporter Mandy Gaither talks to a psychologist about healthy ways to cope with empty nest syndrome.
When the chicks take flight, sometimes the nest can feel a little empty.
It can trigger a wide range of emotions, everything from pride and joy to loneliness and grief.
Psychologist Susan Alberts with Cleveland Clinic says when children go off to college or to a job, it's not the end of your parenting story, but the beginning of a new chapter. Instead of thinking of the nest as empty, consider it expanded.
Your love, care, guidance goes beyond the four walls of your home to their new location.
Albert says to continue staying involved in your child's life without hovering. If your student's heading off to college, follow the school's social media page or read about campus events in the newsletter.
This is going to help you to ask thoughtful questions and stay connected to understanding what's happening in their everyday life.
To cope with sad feelings, Albert says to allow yourself to name what you feel. Noticing your emotions may help you process them. And create a connection ritual, a time each day when you talk to your child or exchange text messages, maybe in between classes or before bed. She says to also focus on gains, not gaps. You may now have time for a new hobby, to learn something new, or volunteer. It's also a good time to reconnect with a partner or friends or do some traveling.
Remember that it is not just about filling your time, but finding things that give you a sense of purpose.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
All right, it's a song that's now been stuck in my head for at least the past 10 minutes. Anyone with young children has probably heard 1,000 times. Would you like to sing it again?
I think you should do it. I've already done it once.
We're talking about Baby Shark. Well, a copyright battle over the song has now come to an end.
The long-standing drama has finally ended. The song, uploaded by Pinkfong to YouTube, clocked up to more than 16 billion views.
Crazy.
In 2019, an American songwriter claimed Pinkfong copied his work. Jonathan Wright says he uploaded this version of Baby Shark to his YouTube channel in 2011, had the same dance motions and beat as the viral song. However, a South Korean court ruled Wright's version cannot be considered a creative work. They said there were already prior versions of Baby Shark in existence and that Wright did not significantly add any new creativity. The catchy tune had been a folk song for at least 15 years now. 15 years is how long Baby Shark has been crushing it.
I've known it for probably the past 9, but it feels like 90.
Yes, it does. Every time I hear it, I
Yes.
feel like I'm 90. Here's what we're working on coming up on News 6 at 6. A local city may avoid the extra cost of a fire fee. The high-stakes meeting that's about 30 minutes away. But first.
Had I known that there were any dangers involved, I would have never purchased the milk for my family.
A mom says raw milk made her lose her unborn child and got her son sick. Now she's suing the local farm selling it. We're taking a closer look at the lawsuit. Here's a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back. The Department of Health linking a local dairy farm to illness, now a lawsuit.
I came really close to dying, and our son did die.
Coming up, the city of Orlando says the extended stay behind me here on I-Drive is unsuitable for people to live, leaving about 100 people uncertain of what their futures look like.
And I'll have the latest on Tropical Storm Erin, where it could be headed.
And a fruit heist in South Florida. Why thieves are after these specific berries. News 6 at 6 starts now. Well, tonight, raw milk is back in the headlines. The Volusia County dairy farm, being linked to nearly 24 illnesses, is now being sued despite labels on its bottles that warn it's intended for animals. News 6's Laverne McGee joins us from the newsroom. Laverne, the mom of a toddler who got sick, is bringing this lawsuit. She says she asked a store worker about that label before buying it.
That's right, Matt. I spoke with her and her attorney this afternoon. It's quite shocking. She told me her son had been drinking Keeley Farms raw milk for a few months, but the last time made him extremely sick. Her lawyer filed a lawsuit in Seminole County. This happened in June when Rachel Maddox was 20 weeks pregnant. It alleges she and her 2-year-old son both became severely ill after consuming Keeley Farms dairy raw milk. Her son was the first to become sick, developing nausea, fever. He had diarrhea, abdomen pain, chills, and even dehydration. Then he was hospitalized for 10 days. Rachel Maddox also became ill with similar symptoms, developed sepsis, and tragically lost her unborn child, and she was hospitalized for 19 days. Now, she also told me that she and her son tested positive for the strain of Campylobacter linked to contaminated Keeley Farms dairy raw milk.
I became very ill, and the sickest I've ever been in my life. I came really close to dying, and our son did die. The doctors told me that I was lucky to be alive.
Exposure to the raw milk has made at least 21 people in Florida sick since January 2025, and the Florida Department of Health linking Keeley Farms to those illnesses and says they are working with the farm to ensure safety. Rachel and her attorney tell me they're filing this lawsuit to make sure that other people are aware of the danger and to cover medical expenses and other costs. Back to you.
Laverne McGee, thank you very much. Now to your forecast. Here's a time-lapse video of some scary-looking cloud hanging over Daytona Beach. Look at this thing. Our beach cam caught it just before 5 o'clock today, and we could see people out there on the beach. You ever see that? You know some lightning is going to be with it. News 6 meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now. So, Jonathan, there's still some stuff out there, too.
There is, yeah. We're going to keep this for the remainder of the evening. And now this is kind of pushing to the east of I-4 in East Orange County tonight, also kind of riding right in between I-4 and I-95, right down in between Deltona and into Edgewater this evening. We'll take you a little closer back into Volusia County as this is heading down towards Seminole County right now. Cow Creek and Bowdoin, we're watching that for you guys. Geiger's Landing as well. This is going to continue to push from north to south. Geneva, we have a downpour around, but that bigger guy is hanging looming about 20 or so minutes away, as that will also continue to drift south. Closer to Bithlo, Lake Pickett, we're seeing the very heavy rain come through University Park, closer to UCF campus as well. Lots of lightning around, the darker red indicating where we have the heavy rainfall. This will also continue to spread further down into eastern Orange County as well. We're going to be watching these as they push part into Osceola County. We're going to break down the future radar and show you the latest on Tropical Storm Erin as well, coming up at about 6:17.
Jonathan, thank you. 3 OUC workers, they are hurt on the job this morning in downtown Orlando. We now have a better idea of what went wrong here. OUC tells us routine maintenance was being done at a substation on West Robinson Street. Then there was what's called an arc flash. OSHA's website describes it as a type of electrical explosion. It says arc flashes can cause deafening noises and superheated shrapnel. We're working to figure out exactly how these workers were hurt. We do know one of the workers has been released. A second one is going to stay in the hospital overnight, and the third is going to need some extra treatment. OUC says there are no customer outages linked to this incident. Now at 6, dozens of people who had been staying at an extended stay off I-Drive now face a frightening prospect: homelessness. As your Orlando community correspondent explains, they're being pushed out for what the city of Orlando cites as safety reasons.
An immediate life safety issue. That is what a City of Orlando spokesperson says triggered a notice to vacate here at the Howard Johnson by Wyndham, leaving tenants uncertain of what their lives will look like come Monday. How are you feeling right now?
Exhausted.
Everybody just found out we had to leave. We're like, what the
The tension in this parking lot was as high as the temperature Thursday. Maria Reyes had reached her boiling point, worried about how a sudden rush to leave will impact her wife, who she says has cancer.
I have to deal with her being sick.
I know.
It's because they don't give a here.
Right behind Maria, we could see a sign taped on a window, a notice from Orlando's code enforcement office. The listed violation reads, life safety system inoperable.
There are some bad conditions, especially in the back.
Black mold everywhere, roaches, rats, palomino bugs.
The roofs are caving in, the ACs are broken.
Last Thursday, Orlando code enforcement officers learned that water service from OUC was turned off due to non-payment by the owners. But a city spokesperson says that while on scene last Friday, the fire department determined that the fire alarms in the building were not functioning properly, creating an immediate life safety issue that required a safety official to remain on site, monitoring for fire hazards.
It's kind of scary knowing that you won't have a place to shelter for the night.
Trinette Nation is with the Coalition for the Homeless.
We do not want any unsheltered individuals or families after this incident.
State records show Roar Orlando owns the hotel. We were unable to find a phone number for the company, but several tenants identified this man as the property manager. When we were there Thursday, we saw him talking to police, city representatives, and to tenants. But he was not as engaging with us. Ramel, are you able to tell us anything about what's happening? Why it was condemned? No? Are you the property manager?
No.
Is your name not?
But they're telling me to tell you to get the news off the property, the owner.
Who's
the
there?
Police, yeah.
Okay.
But I
So you don't work here?
No.
They're saying you're the property manager, no?
No.
Okay. Despite that insistence, it was not long before he approached us off camera, accompanied by an Orlando police sergeant. The sergeant said the man, on behalf of the owner, was asking us to leave the property. So we did, with just a few more unanswered questions. I'm your Orlando community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
Well, video just released is showing what led to an officer opening fire on a driver in a Publix parking lot. Here it is here. Let's take it a little bigger for you. This happened Sunday morning in Ocoee. The police chief just presented surveillance video during a press conference today. Shows the moments two officers are searching for a stolen BMW. They were nearly run over by this thing. One of the officers opened fire on the driver, killing her. She was later identified as Stacy Garrow.
Mrs. Guerrero had a criminal history spanning multiple counties and included charges such as battery on law enforcement, fleeing from police, and fraud.
It was Stacy Guerrero there. The chief says the officers were not hurt and neither was anyone else in the parking lot. Well, that's an issue cities and counties across Central Florida are seeing now. It's Winter Garden's term. Fire assessment fees aren't keeping up with the budget. In Winter Garden's case, they're short about $12 million. An increased fire assessment fee could cost you between $330 and $500. That depends on the size of your home. The city manager recommends against approving the fee increase. And city leaders, they're going to talk about just that tonight. And Orange County community correspondent Jarrell Baker will be there. Jarrell, so tell us more about this letter that the city manager is talking about.
Yeah, Matt, in that letter, now, City Manager John Williams had pointed out that they went back, their staff went and reviewed next year's budget and found $4 million. And they say that that's just enough to hold off on imposing this fee. Now, the proposed annual fee would have started around $330 and for smaller homes, for homes smaller than 1,000 square feet, and more than $500 for homes over 3,500 square feet. Now, when they initially told people about this fee, dozens of residents filled City Hall and several opposed to it. But now people are much calmer since the staff say that that money could help out.
It's great that they magically found the funds. I think it benefits all of the homeowners that were so happy about having to pay the extra $300.
Now, Williams says that they are not out of the woods yet. They're still having to find ways to fill the gap in funding. Now, he closed his letter by saying that city staff will continue to evaluate the budget to ensure operational efficiency and fiscal responsibility, and any additional funding needs to be considered when determining the final tax millage rate. Now, there's several people that are expecting them to uphold that recommendation by the city manager, but we'll tell you a little bit more about that at the meeting. Starts at 6:30 right there in City Hall. Here in Winter Garden, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
All right, Jarrell, thank you. Well, many are expecting city leaders to officially turn down the fee there at the meeting. Again, that meeting starts at 6:30, Winter Garden City Hall. In Merritt Island tonight, water has been restored to Mackerel Street and the surrounding areas after a crane fell over on a home yesterday. We're told that the crane was set up on top of a water line. The weight of it crushed the line. The gushing water softened the ground, causing that crane to tip over. We're told the crane was in the neighborhood working on a telephone pole. Thankfully, no one was home when that thing toppled over. No one was hurt, but the home is badly damaged. Still ahead, a highly protected Barry at the center of a massive heist. Why those arrested could spend years in prison. But first,
I can't imagine not knowing where my person is.
a break in a nearly decade-old cold case. How a set of keys with a rewards card on it played a major role. And
this portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health, helping the communities we serve to feel whole.
A break in a cold case. Police say they finally know whose body was found on the side of the turnpike in Orange County 9 years ago. It has something to do with a set of keys that were found there. Our own Catherine Silver tells us how that piece of evidence made the difference for detectives.
When police found the remains almost a decade ago, they also found what ended up being the key to the case. A set of keys like this with 2 loyalty reward cards, one of them to Winn-Dixie.
Good morning.
A retired detective here at the Ocoee Police Department started re-examining that evidence 3 years ago. She sent a subpoena to Winn-Dixie to see if they could find a match, and they did. It turns out that loyalty card belonged to Lloyd P. Williams, a man who went missing in Orange County back in 2013. It was enough of a lead that they tracked down his son, who lives in Jamaica, and confirmed their suspicions with a DNA match.
He was extremely grateful. He had been wondering what happened to his father since 2013, and for him to finally get some closure. He's in his 70s, and he's just, like I said, he's extremely grateful. I can't imagine not knowing where my person is, and just to be able to hear the relief in their voice or the excitement in their voice when you call them and say, hey, we think we have a lead. It's heartwarming.
The detective says Williams' death was considered suspicious because his remains were discovered by the side of the turnpike back when the 429 was being built. Ocoee police have turned over all of their findings to Orange County. In Ocoee, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
Now to a bizarre story out of South Florida where a sheriff says his deputies busted up an organized berry theft ring. You heard that right. The Martin County Sheriff's Office says it caught up to 11 guys. They say they stole tons of saw palmetto berries from private property owned by ranchers. Saw palmetto berries are highly sought after for their medicinal properties, supposedly, and regulation helps preserve their population there. In fact, picking them without a permit or without permission in Florida could land you in jail for up to 5 years.
These guys are smart. They know what they're doing. They get dropped off early in the morning. They hide in the bushes all day long, and they get picked up at dusk for the most part. So they're slick, and they know what's on the line if they get arrested.
This happens every so often, these saw palmetto berries. In total, the sheriff's office seized almost 6,000 pounds of berries worth more than $8,000.
Man, thought pomegranates were expensive.
I know, right? The Whole Foods
wow.
should be selling those things. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joins us now for a look at the evening. We have had some nasty looking stuff rolling
There
through.
have been, and we have one little beefy cell out there now. It's hanging out in East Orange County. There it is, kind of lighting up. There are a couple of thunderstorms out there, but the one in particular is on the stronger side. There's nothing severe, but certainly you're going to know it's there. Some gusty winds, some very, very heavy rain. Again, this is sliding right down the east side of Orange County, so Bithlo into Christmas, closer to UCF tonight. We have the trailing piece of it working its way out of Volusia County. We'll take you a little closer in as it's slowly meandering down the pipeline here, and you can track this storm with the News 6 weather app. It is a free download. You have lightning detection. Bithlo, we're on the just the tail edge of that, but a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. This is closer again to UCF right now. We'll zoom back out. We have a couple of little guys further down I-4. This is just to the north of Davenport, hanging around Four Corners tonight. And then in around Celebration, we have a few scattered downpours trying to bubble back up. Now, for the rest of the evening, we're going to be in and out of a few scattered thunderstorms. There's a live look much quieter in Daytona Beach right now. Still a couple of thunderstorms nearby, so the airport center reporting that thunderstorm. Temperatures back now to the upper 70s after that went through. For the rest of the evening, again, right along I-4, kind of where they are right now, kind of drifting back to the south. They might try to hop over to the west just a little bit. That's as the East Coast sea breeze comes in and just kind of nudges everything a little bit back to the west. There's 8 o'clock on your Friday morning, nice and quiet. Once we get to the afternoon, same deal again. A few afternoon thunderstorms come down the pipeline. You see them coming from both directions, then try to fire up again right smack dab in the middle of the peninsula. Rain and storm chances tomorrow only at 40%. Nonetheless, there will be a couple of stronger ones just like what we have out there today. Now here's a look at tomorrow.
Sponsored by Strata Air Conditioning and Heating. AC emergency, you ought to call Strata.
Temperatures back to the mid-90s. Some of us even climbing into the upper 90s. Mount Dora 96, Orlando at 98 tomorrow. Bushnell we're at 96. Same for us just up the road in Wildwood as we crank up the thermostat again. Latest on Tropical Storm Erin. It's still a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. You see it right there. There's the center as it works off to the west. Eventually, it's going to have that kick back to the north and west. A 5 o'clock track from the National Hurricane Center continues to strengthen it gradually over the next couple of days, and then its strongest point likely as it starts to bend north of Puerto Rico and hopefully go right down the middle of the goalpost between the eastern seaboard of the United States and Bermuda, of course. Here we are in Florida. We like that turn. Again, it continues to look likely that Erin is going to turn well away from Florida and leave us alone. Just the beaches are going to be a little nasty, a little rough. The surf is going to be high and the waves are going to be big. The first Hurricane Hunter mission into Erin is underway. It took off from the Caribbean islands about 4 o'clock this afternoon Eastern time, and it's doing its thing, dropping the instruments in there. So the model forecast we continue to show you. If you want to see that stuff and just want for the transparency again, it's going to continue to get better now that we actually have ground truth data from the storm and its environment. So some good news there, at least on the long-term future of forecasting that storm. We'll keep you posted with what they find throughout the night and into tomorrow morning. Temperatures over the next few days, a little toasty, back to the mid to upper 90s. Storm chances over the next couple of days holding at about 40%, about a 60% shot for storms on Sunday, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Sports Director Jamie Say is here. Jamie, UCF football remains a pretty hot ticket.
Yeah, for sure. UCF announced today that it has sold out of football season tickets once again. That's the 5th year in a row. We checked out the Knights practice today. That's coming up. And another Central Florida baseball team is doing big things. The Altamont Baseball Academy has made the U.S. championship at the Cal Ripken World Series in Missouri. They're 5-0. Will play for the U.S. title tomorrow. A win, and they're going to play for the World Championship on Saturday. Welcome back to News 6. UCF football kicks off the season 2 weeks from tonight against Jacksonville State. Who will be the Knights starting quarterback? We don't know yet. That's the word from Knights camp today. We heard from offensive coordinator Steve Cooper. He said quarterbacks Taven Jackson, Cam Fancher, and Jakari Brown are still competing to be number one. No matter who wins that starting job, fans will see a new offense with a lot of new players when UCF debuts on the 28th.
It's the dog days of camp. We grow as a family. We're making a lot of plays on both sides of the ball.
The younger guys are really ready to play, I feel like, especially here. So it's just going to be fun to see what we were able to do.
The great thing about the quarterback position right now with those three guys, we feel really good about all three. Got a little ways to go before we do play that first game.
So Tim Tebow is one of the greatest quarterbacks in Florida Gator history and in all of college football. That's according to the Associated Press. Today, that news agency announced its all-time All-Americans and gave Tebow top billing among QBs. The Heisman Trophy winner, two-time national champ and birthday boy, is the all-time All-American first-team quarterback, according to the AP. By the way, Tebow turned 38 years old today. Florida State great Deion Sanders was named an all-time All-American first team at cornerback. Miami's Ed Reed got the honor at safety, and former Nole Sebastian Janikowski got the nod at kicker. 25 men total made that first team out of the thousands who have played college football and hundreds who have been All-Americans. So Magic fans, October 22nd is the date to circle. That's when Paolo Banchero and company start the new season. The NBA and the Magic released the 2025-26 schedules this afternoon. The regular season tips off at the Kia Center on October 22nd against the Miami Heat. Regular season concludes on April 8th in Boston. So in between those dates, there are some home games that command some more attention than others. And here they are, like the two with Boston on November 7th and 9th. Then Steph Curry and the Warriors visit the Kia November 18th, Knicks on November 22nd, defending champion Thunder in town on March 17th, and the Lakers show up 4 days later. 14 Magic games will be broadcast nationally, either on television or on a streaming platform. That is a feather in this team's cap. We've posted the Magic's full schedule on clickorlando.com, and tickets go on sale tomorrow. So the more national exposure that a team is planned to get, the better folks think the team's going to be, and I think the Magic are going to be really, really good.
Okay, so we're reading the tea leaves a little bit on that. What's the hardest ticket usually of the season to get? Is it the Lakers?
You know, the Lakers are, but I think, you know, Steph Curry had an amazing performance his last time out at the Kia Center.
Yeah,
Steph Curry's a draw. The problem is it's in November. You know, like when college football is still going on, so you compete with that, but Steph Curry is going to be a huge draw. Lakers, Thunder.
Good stuff.
Knicks, Celtics.
Yeah,
Heat.
the big cities. All right, more news coming up at 9 o'clock on clickorlando.com. We'll see you later.